Hello, happy thinkers. It's Melissa here with Think Me First. And today we are shooting WTF episode 22. And we are going to talk about today how to overcome fear and anxiety. So keep in mind when we're going through this topic that everyone is going to be different. They're going to have different fears. They're going to deal with things differently. And so again, these are nothing set in stone. These are just ideas. But first of all, fear is like one of the most powerful emotions that we have, and it has a strong effect on our mind and body. And I see Jacob Berkey. Hello there. If you're with us, give me a wave. Otherwise, I can't see if you're there or not. So welcome, Jacob. So again, fear is one of the most powerful emotions that we have. And again, it does have a strong effect on our body and our mind. So then you topple that with anxiety, and it's even worse. Anxiety is used for fear, and that deals with thoughts or threats of something that are maybe in the future or going to go wrong in the future, not so much in the present. So keep that in mind. Fear is pretty much something in the present, and then your anxiety kicks in and it goes over to the future. So Tim Dockery's got it nailed. I guess I don't have to finish this one anymore. He says drink vodka. But hold that thought, Tim, because I do have an explanation for that. So anyways, so some people, they become overwhelmed by fear, and they want to avoid some of these situations that might frighten them and make them anxious. Maybe it's taking a test, or someone struggles with public speaking or something of that nature. And it can be hard to break the cycle, but it can be done. So what makes us afraid? What you are afraid of, and again, what someone else is afraid of is going to be different. Hi, Jennifer. Jennifer's joining us as well. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. So again, everyone's going to be different on this topic, but the first and the best step to know is to be aware of what you are afraid of. And then you can go from there to sort out your problems. Like me, I know. Hello, Jennifer. Like me, I know that I'm afraid of heights. And then when I posed the question to a lot of you last week, one person is afraid of drowning. Another person was afraid of being alone. I know another person who's afraid of snakes, another of spiders, and we'll touch on that briefly. So just keep in mind that you know the difference between fear and being anxious or anxiety, so you can control or know how to control each one. So what makes some of us anxious? Well, anxiety actually describes worry. So it's when we start to worry, or the fear that we have persists over time. And that would be, again, the difference between anxiety and fear. And then anxiety, again, is used when fear is about the future, not so much what is happening now. So what do fear and anxiety feel like? I'm going to give you some of my examples, and then again, I researched some of this, so these are just examples. It's not limited to by any means, because again, everyone's different. But a lot of times with fear and even anxiety, your heart rate may increase, your breathing may be more labored or heavy, or sometimes even increase. Your muscles could feel weak. On the flip side, they could be very tense depending on the situation. You may have excessive sweating. Maybe your mouth gets dry. You start to feel dizzy. It can be very hard to focus. Sometimes we don't eat. So those are just a few of the signs that you may see when you're being fearful or you have anxiety setting in. So I'm just going to reiterate again that fear is usually the short term, and then anxiety kicks in when it starts to be longer termed. So why do we feel like this when maybe we're not really in danger? Well, back in early times, our ancestors, they had a lot to fear, and usually their fear was imminent danger. Maybe it was an animal, or because they didn't have the tools that we did. or the medicine. So it could have been just imminent danger of animals, or maybe food supply not having enough because of world wars or whatever. But it doesn't change the way that we are today. It's just our fears are different. Our body still reacts the same, but fears today for us could be just simply paying bills, or the fear of traveling, or maybe just, again, certain social situations such as test taking or public speaking. So those are just a few examples. And then on the other side too, we cannot run away from them. So we're stuck with them and we have to face them sometimes. Fear is really, really scary when you don't know why too. And then that poses another question. So instead of alerting our body about the fear, that's when the anxiety starts to kick in and persist. And when your anxiety kicks in, it's usually imaginary or something very minor, but we just can't control it. So why do we feel like our fear doesn't go away sometimes, or why can't we feel normal again? So fear can take place when you're faced with something very unfamiliar. Maybe you're going to go skydiving for the first time, or maybe you're asked to do a presentation and you're not prepared, you don't know how to do it. It could be a matter of things. But it can also be an everyday thing for some people. And that's why it's important to know what your fear is. There are plenty of triggers for everyday fear, and sometimes you can't always you can't place where it's coming from or what it's about, and that makes it even worse. Again, some people, if they maybe made an error at work and your boss is calling you out on it, you don't know how to react, and sometimes you may have a fear because you don't know the recourse. Or again, I go back to public speaking. I used to be fearful of that, but I've gotten away from that. So it could be a matter of things, and again, different for everyone. But the emotional part of your brain, it still keeps sending these signals to your body. And then sometimes the only way to fight it is through medical reasons, or you have to have medicine to treat it. Others may have to have physical ways of tackling it, maybe exercise or writing, things like that. But some people have panic attacks, and I think I had one time, but I'm not real sure. I've never really been diagnosed to have panic attacks or anything, but I remember one time clearly sitting at my desk at work, and my heart was just fluttering, and it was kind of scary for me because I couldn't control it. And usually I can develop a mindset where I can, just focus on something totally different, and it takes my mind off of it, and I can pretty much stampede it. But this particular time I couldn't control, and it was really scary for me because I really didn't know what was happening, or again, what to do about it. So panic attacks get really scary for people. And if you, some people may develop a panic attack very frequently. And that may be a time that you may need to discuss that with your doctor. But panic attacks are just feeling very overwhelmed by either physical or mental feelings of fear. So what is a phobia? Well, a phobia is an extreme fear of something particular, like an animal, maybe a thing or a place, or sometimes certain situations for some people. I know a few people that have animal phobias, but people with phobias, they have this need to avoid contact with that anxiety or fear. If you want to know more about phobias, I have a couple of articles. First of all, they're both on anxiety. So if you just go to the search bar on thinkmefirst.com and then just type in anxiety, it'll bring up a couple of articles. One of them is specifically on phobias. Like claustrophobia. I think as I get older, even though I used to scuba dive and was a firefighter, I could wear the mask and everything, I think I'm starting to get claustrophobic as I get older. So that's something I'm trying to tackle as well. But so there's a couple of articles on there if you want to know more about them. And then another question we may ask ourselves is, how do we know if we need help? Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just throwing out ideas that you may want to just toy around with. But fear and anxiety affect all of us differently. So it's up to you to know yourself and what you think you need. If these panic attacks or this phobia is long lasting and you start to struggle with coping, or maybe it's causing health problems, overtaking your life, or just, the frequent panic attacks, then I would suggest that you discuss it with your doctor and see what you can do. Another question we may ask ourselves is, how can we help ourselves with these fears? So I have several ways that I came up with. The most important one, I think, is to actually face your fear. When I say this, if you avoid things that you fear, then you may end up doing things, or that you may not do things that you want to do or enjoy doing, or maybe even things that you really need to do but you can't because of the fear. I mean, I know some people that are fearful to even go to the grocery store right now, and that's a necessity. So again, I will tell you all day, I am scared of heights, but I'll still climb a mountain, I'll still rappel. Skydiving, probably not so much, because I do have children. I have a responsibility. But hi Teresa, nice to see you. Thank you for stopping by and waving. If there's anyone else out there, feel free to wave so I know you're here. But anyways, just face that fear. And then that might be one way that you can overcome that. And it may not happen in one sitting also, so just keep facing it. And I think the more you get comfortable with it and start toying with different ways to handle it, it does get easier. Exposing yourself to your fears can be effective to overcoming them. And again, just keep doing them over and over so that I see Tim waving again. Thanks, Tim. So again, number 2 is know yourself. And that's basically what I'm saying here, is to learn more about yourself and how you handle your fear and anxiety. Some people may keep a diary of their phobias or whatever they are fearful of, and record what is making them fearful or what may be causing the anxiety. Another reason you may document is if you do something when this panic attack or what your fear is coming upon you, what you do to get rid of it or maybe calm yourself. Perhaps there are triggers that enhance it, so then you might want to diary that, just so you can keep a watch on what you're doing, so that you can try and overcome the fear. Exercise, number 3, is a huge one, because when you increase exercise, you also increase your concentration or your focus. And sometimes exercise itself will take your mind off of the fear itself. Number 4 would be to relax. And that's to find some relaxation techniques. That could be simply taking deep breaths or just focusing on your breathing. Some people may imagine themselves in a happy place, like the beach, or maybe some people like food, so they'll be in a restaurant or a particular country or place, and that takes their mind off their fear. Others may need a massage, or I myself like to go outside and just listen to all the sounds of nature. It's kind of calming and relaxing. Number 5 is eating healthy. And some people may not think about this in regards to fear, but what I'm about to tell you will probably make sense to you. Sugar. Sugar makes your blood sugar drop. So, again, when you start the excessive sweating because of fear, or you don't want to eat, or the weakened muscles, then the sugar also enhances that fear. On the flip side, it may make you anxious. I mean, how many of you have ever seen a child on Mountain Dew before they have to go to bed? There you go, is a perfect example for that. And then this is to bring up Tim's vodka advice. Avoid alcohol or drink moderately. Hi Kate, nice to see you. Hope everything's going well there. I'm glad you're watching. We are just talking about how to overcome fear and anxiety if you're just joining us. So number 6 is going to be avoid alcohol or drink moderately, because when people drink, they're usually nervous. And if you're nervous a lot, then that can become a bad habit if you try to overcome that with drinking alcohol. On the flip side, again, alcohol can also make you feel more afraid or anxious. So I'm sorry, Tim, the vodka, it may not be a complete remedy. Number 7 is just different therapies. Some people will seek therapy with an actual therapist. Others may do relaxation techniques such as Tai Chi or yoga, some meditation, things of that nature. If you want more information on therapy, I have an article on that as well. If you go to thinkmefirst.com, and then in the right hand side, you can do in the search bar, just type in therapy. And I have an article on that because there's a lot of misconception with therapy, especially socially. A lot of people, hi Randy, I'm glad you are here. Looks like Randy's watching the sunrise and the sunset, or she's telling us to watch the sunrise and the sunset. Sorry, Randy. But yeah, that's a good idea because that's very tranquil to a lot of people. And that could be an easy relaxation technique. Very good one. Thanks, Randy, for sharing that. But anyway, I have an article on therapy too, because a lot of people socially, I know old school people think that therapy may be like you're psychotic or something like that. But people need to think of therapy as a positive thing and not a negative thing, because there's a lot of good to therapy. When I went through my traumatic event, I used a therapist and it was wonderful. And then I had a lot of mindset changes and like here I am now. So therapy is really good. I would encourage anyone. I mean, I even think therapists need therapists, but therapy is a really good one if you ever get a chance. And then again, if you have a bad therapist, don't let that ruin the experience. I started out with a therapist. It was totally not a good fit for me. And then I found someone who was just wonderful and it was totally different. So if you find one and you don't like it, give it one more shot and at least try and find another one. And then the last thing just to touch on real quick is, some people may need help. None of these techniques work, so they may need help. And again, therapy, some people may need medication to overcome the fears and anxieties. There's support groups out there. You have friends and family. So there's a lot of different ways that you can overcome anxiety and fear. Again, you just need to know yourself and experiment and take it upon yourself to find those. So again, if you like this material, feel free to find more at thinkmefirst.com. Again, you can find me here on Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube and in the search bar, just type Melissa Shim, then all my videos are there. I also have an email list if you like extra tips, tricks, and hacks. I also send those out once a week. And I'm starting to set up a shop. So far I have a couple of courses. I just wrote an ebook on narcissism. And I also have a checklist out for new drivers. It's just what to do if you're involved in a motor vehicle accident. So I'm starting to set up a shop. So if you guys are interested in any of that, I'm going to be setting that up on my website here soon. So anyways, until then, I want you all to take care and thank me first. You guys have a good evening. Thanks for joining. Bye.